Hello, Tuesday night again. So, welcome to MCCHQ. Just take a couple of minutes and see who's going to join us. It's always a good time to get a quick swig of a brew. How is everyone this evening? Waiting for the football, I imagine, if you're English. Or not, I suppose, if you're supporting the opposite team, if you're not. Not a bad evening. It's warm, isn't it?
Very warm. I've got people joining on now. Say hi as you join in so we know who's here.
Yeah, we'll just to give it a couple of minutes before Facebook catches up. Once you go live. Bailey's listening, aren't you?
Bailey's chilling.
Do you want to come and say hello? No. Just looking at me. As if I'm something not right. How are we diddling then? How is everyone?
Justine's here. Joanne's here. I've got quite a few watching. Dean says he doesn't like football.
I'm not a great fan of it myself, but we tend to watch England, don't we?
Yeah.
All the big matches like that. I've not really followed a team since I was probably in junior school. Growing up where I did, it was Man United. I've never understood people who've got a hometown and don't support the hometown team. Strange. I encountered a lot of that when I moved up to Bury. They all supported United. I said, well, why don't you support Bury? And they'd say, well, because they're no good. I said, well, they're no good because they've no money because you don't support them. A little bit of a catch-22. Anyway.
Debbie's here as well.
Shall I make a start then?
Yeah.
Okay, so continuing on with what's in our soaps, cosmetics and everyday products theme. Tonight, two common ones. We've got what we call BHA and BHT, our special guest stars tonight. So BHA stands for butyl hydroxyanisole or butylated hydroxyanisole, which is that one. And BHT is butyl hydroxytoluene. Very common. There's similar structures that are used as well, but these are the two main ones that are used. And they're used as a preservative or an antioxidant. And kind of things they go into and used for that are food, surprisingly, animal feeds, basically anything that's got fats or oils in it stops them going rancid and oxidizing. Which is like, I don't know if you've had a bottle of, say, sunflower oil hanging around for about 5 years or something, it goes crusty around the top. That's the oxidized oil. It's in cosmetics, usuals again. So your shampoos, makeup, all that kind of anything that's oily as well, especially like your lipsticks. What's the other one? Mascara. It also goes into toothpaste, and that's something I'll mention again in a bit. Mouthwash. And it's also used to preserve plastics and rubbers. Very good at what they do. So how are they made? I always like to mention this because I like to show the impact that getting to this, what it has on the environment, the amount of energy, the effort that goes into producing them. I'll go this side. So it's another one, comes from crude oil usually. And it goes through a process called cracking with the oil. Lots of heat, lots of pressure, lots of pipes. And they'll take off various fractions that boil at different temperatures. And the one they use for this, they take off, they're called naphthas. Now, I'm sure you've heard of naphthalene, which is mothballs. It's a mixture of all that kind of thing, petroleum type stuff. So they'll get the naphthas, they'll pass that over a metal catalyst, usually something like palladium or platinum. Expensive again. Lots of more heat, a lot more pressure. And that'll give you toluene amongst other things. So they'll get a mixture again out, and then they'll separate that off again to the boiling point. So you get your toluene. Next step, more heat. Sulfuric acid, very strong sulfuric acid to get it to attach to the ring there. So you get the sulfonated ring, and then they'll neutralize that with caustic. That kicks out the sulfur, and then you get something what's called cresol. So cresol is a phenol. I've mentioned these before. So it's an aromatic ring with a hydroxy on. That's a phenol. This one's got one methyl group, so they call that cresol. And then from that, this is just this one as an example, by the way, not both of them. It's more sulfuric acid, more heat, and then they bubble isobutylene through. And this then attaches the butylene groups to the ring. It's an interesting one, that, for me, because I've done similar reactions in the past when I used to work for Ciba-Geigy. They used to make phosphate, call them phosphate esters, and they're used in flame retardants, plasticizers, fluids, all that kind of thing. But it's interesting that they probably use this because it's cheap, but we used to use what they call the fuller's earth, which is a kind of clay, and you could recycle that. So that attaches these onto the ring. So there you get your stuff. So they've got to go through all that to get to that. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. That's 5 lots of heating, 5 lots of washing, 5 lots of different chemicals, all that kind of thing. Lots and lots of heat, lots and lots of energy to get to this. So just bear that in mind when we talk about alternative later on. I should scrub that. So why is it a good thing? Well, for the manufacturers, it's a good thing because it preserves all these. For us, probably not so good, as are most of these type of stuff. Again, I've printed off various examples, various papers of studies that have been done on what it does to humans, to animals, plants, and the environment. So I can probably kick off. So these are just a few examples of what studies show what they do, what it does to humans. So this is from a journal called Pharmacia. Evaluation of the possible endocrine disruptive effect of butylated hydroxyazole and butylated hydroxytoluene. And there's another one here, propyl gallate, which is, like I said, there's a few similar. So an endocrine disruptor is something that messes with your hormones. Your endocrine system is your lymph nodes, your immune system, all that kind of thing, your reproductive system. It's all involved with that. So a common theme here, a lot of these things that go in are endocrine disruptors. So that could interfere with fertility, particularly male fertility, because a lot of them mimic estrogens. but it's not so good for women either. It's been linked with things like cancer. I also think there's a link, me personally, to things like fibromyalgia. So, yeah, again, these things are all over. Yeah, so I like to show, just to show that I'm not just making these things up. We evaluated the possible endocrine disruptive effect of these two, extensively used as antioxidants, blah, 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 to investigate their estrogenic and or anti-estrogenic effect. So they've done the study on rats, poor rats. So, I suppose we need to know this stuff. Absolute and relative uterus rates were significantly decreased by all of these compounds, while endometrial epithelium thickness was significantly affected only by the propyl gallate. Data obtained from the present study suggests that BHA, BHT, and the other one indeed have endocrine disruptive effects. The worst one being the propyl gallate, which doesn't seem to be as common, but it is used. So that's that one. So fairly what's the word I'm looking for? Strong evidence to say yes, that it is an endocrine disruptor. This is a study from Helion on the cytogenotoxicity. This one was done on plants to see how it affects plant growth. But again, it'll affect human cells just the same. So more or less anyway. So they just see the growth rates. That one. The root tips showed concentration-dependent growth retardation. So again, if it can show a concentration effect, it's pretty good evidence that it is what they're looking at is having that effect. In all these concentrations, as well as root texture, also has been changed mid-toe tick index, total protein content decreased, and frequency of chromosomal aberrations increased after 5 days treatment. So it's a chronic effect. It's cumulative as well. Additionally, this method was applied to evaluate genotoxicity and found the highest concentration, which was only parts per million, 2,500 parts per million, was comparatively more distant to the control group. Results concluded that BHT and BHA showed positive results as cytotoxic. Oh, toxic to cells. I'm not the best organised, am I? Is it a carcinogen, or are they carcinogenic? There's quite a few of these papers that I read that say yes, but they've also found that at the same time it can retard the growth of tumours, which is strange. So I think the best analogy for that is something like, say, radiation. Now, if you expose yourself to radiation, either over a long time or a high dose over a short time, chances are you're going to get cancer or tumours somewhere. But you can then also, if you focus the radiation on the tumour, you can use the radiation to kill it. So it's that kind of thing. So best avoid the radiation in the first place.
So you wouldn't go to Chernobyl on holiday, would you?
No. And then go, oh, I know, I can get a higher dose of radiation and cure myself. It's that kind of, that's basically what they're saying, I think. So this is from, I'm not actually written down when it's from. It's an abstract from a paper anyway. Carcinogenity test showed that addition of the antioxidant BHA to the diet of some poor rats again induced high indices of papilloma and squamous cell carcinoma. This was found in the stomachs of both of the sexes. Hamsters were given the same test. They developed papilloma showing downward growth into the submucosa of the forestomach. These results indicate that BHA should be classified of the category sufficient evidence of carcinogenity, which it isn't. As judged by the IARC criteria, I assume that's some regulatory body. BHA seemed to be responsible for the carcinogenity of crude BHA in the forestomach of rats. BHT was not found to be carcinogenic in rats or mice. In two-stage carcinogenesis in rats, after appropriate initiation, BHA enhanced carcinogenesis in the forestomach and urinary bladder, but inhibited carcinogenesis in the liver. BHT enhanced the induction of urinary bladder tumours and inhibited that of liver tumours, but had no effect on forestomach. BHT could be a promoter of thyroid cancer. The addition of L-ascorbate enhanced forestomach and urinary bladder carcinogenesis. Ethoxyquin, I'm not sure, that must be another test chemical they had, enhanced liver, kidney and urinary bladder carcinogenesis. Thus, these antioxidants modify two-stage chemical carcinogenesis in the forestomach, liver, kidney, urinary bladder, thyroid, but show organ-specific differences. So, some strong evidence there to suggest that it's carcinogenic. Just to show that I'm not totally biased, but I am finding out as much as I can. This is another abstract where they've tested it for carcinogenesis, and this one proved that it was safe to be used. So I can't find any affiliation to any big companies from this one. It does look independent. So there you go. That said, I did download the MSDSs for these. So
explain what an MSDS is.
Yeah, MSDS stands for Material Safety Data Sheet. So if you buy chemicals, say a pure chemical in a lab or definitely on bulk scale, you need to have an MSDS on it to say how safe it is, how it should be handled, how it should be transported, what are the effects to look out for, all that kind of thing.
We even have those for essential oils, don't we?
Yeah, we've got those, yeah. So this one is BHT, so I'll just hold it up. So this is what's given to people who handle this stuff. Warning, very toxic to aquatic life with long-lasting effects. I'll come back to that. Avoid release to the environment, collect spillage. The substance contains no components considered to be either persistent, bioaccumulative and toxic, or very persistent and bioaccumulative, which contradicts something that I'll show you in a minute. This is for the other one, the BHA. You see that okay? So I'll go through it all, but the first things it says are harmfully swallowed, causes skin irritation. Again, causes serious eye irritation, may cause respiratory irritation, may cause cancer. So they're even putting that on the MSDS, even though all your FDAs and that are saying it's safe. That said, in the UK, we're actually doing something right for once. They obviously recognise that there is a problem with these things, because now we're out of the EU, we've gone it alone and restricted how the levels of these things that can be used in products that are made here. I'm not sure about sold, because we still import most of it. So I'd have to check that one. But the level in, say, something like toothpaste, they've taken down to 0.01%. And in the mouthwash, it's 1/10 of that, 0.01%. But for them to do that, they know. But USA, the Americas, rest of Europe are still sticking with the old level. So that's what it can do to us. I did have another one actually where it says it's definitely absorbed through the skin. I'll probably missed that, but there is one. It says, so you're putting these things on topically and they're definitely absorbed through your skin. Yeah, so that's its effect on us. What does it do when it gets into the environment? Again, all these things are, you shampoo your hair, you wash your mouth out, all goes down the sink into our water. This one is from the Ecotoxicity and Environmental Safety journal. There have been some toxicity data of BHA and its chronic toxicity and endocrine disruption. Studies have shown that exposure to 9,000 micrograms per litre, that is not a lot, of BHA can effectively increase triglyceride levels in adipocytes. So that's your fat. Basically, it makes you put weight on, revealing the potential role of BHA in inducing obesity and other diseases. So your triglycerides are related to your cholesterol, your statins and all that. Studies have shown that BHA has an adverse effect on the development of the heart and spine in certain kinds of fish. In addition, it's reported that BHA is cytotoxic, which is what we said before, to rat lungs and in cancer cells and causes DNA damage. It's toxic to rat reproductive system, has developmental toxicity, so retards growth, endocrine disrupting effects, and teratogen effects. That's an important one. Teratogen is something that affects a growing fetus. So if you're pregnant and you get teratogen on you, it can damage the baby growing. This article has made some predictions on BHA and its transformation products. Now, there is another one that I read. Basically, they did a study of its persistence in the environment. It's not super long lasting, but it's long enough. But also the breakdown products, what happens when it goes into the environment, the breakdown products from it are actually worse than these. So it gets metabolized by certain bacteria or breaks down in the sunlight. And the products of that are actually worse for these kind of effects. So carcinogens, endocrine disruption. So that's what happens when it washes down the drain. This one is from Environmental Research. The safety of the food additive butylated hydroxytoluene for human consumption has been re-evaluated by the US FDA and by the Joint Expert Committee on Food Additives and the UN. There are few studies on the effects of BHT in humans, so basically they've not done enough work. Most of these studies just identifying the metabolic products of BHT. Studies with laboratory animals indicate BHT may exert both detrimental and beneficial effects. For example, BHT ameliorates the toxicity and carcinogenity of several chemical and physical agents, yet potentiates the toxicity and carcinogenity of others. Furthermore, while BHT may exert a positive effect on lifespan, it exerts a negative effect on the lungs, kidneys, myocardial cells, liver, and metabolism of lipids and clotting factors as a potential behavioural and developmental teratogen. Nice stuff.
Would that have been used as a preservative in certain vaccines?
Possibly, I don't know, to be honest. They used to use things like formaldehyde and mercury. It wouldn't surprise me, they're antioxidants. Well, they're a cocktail of all sorts now, vaccines, aren't they? The best one is like nagalase, which I think I've mentioned before. BHA and BHT can induce allergic reactions in the skin. International Agency Research on Cancer classifies BHA as a possible human carcinogen. If it is possible, there's no safe level. Why are they using it? The EU Commission on Endocrine Disruption has also listed BHA as a Category 1 priority substance based on evidence that interferes with hormone function. Again, how many of these are endocrine disruptors? Pretty much all of them. Every single one. It's no wonder we're all getting whatever we're getting. Long-term exposure to high doses of BHT is toxic, causing liver, thyroid and kidney problems and affecting lung function and blood coagulation. BHT can act as a tumour promoter in certain situations. Limited evidence suggests that high doses may mimic estrogen, the primary female sex hormone, and prevent expression of male sex hormones, resulting in adverse reproductive effects. Under the Convention of Protection of the Marine Environment, BHA is listed as a chemical of potential concern, noting its toxicity to aquatic organisms and potential to bioaccumulate, so it does build up. Some of the others were trying to say it doesn't. Likewise, the UN Environment Programme assessment noted BHT had a moderate to high potential for bioaccumulation in aquatic species, though the assessment deemed BHT safe for humans. So it's toxic for fish, safe for us, even though we eat the fish. We eat the animals that are fed on it, the crops, the oils that are preserved with it. So I'll leave you to make your own mind up about that. This is an interesting one. I thought I'd mention this because they did a comparison. So this is a German paper. I won't show myself, but I'm trying to pronounce the German. This was a comparison they did with these two as antioxidants with vitamin E, which is tocopherol, which is also a really good antioxidant. The toxicology of the food preservatives BHA and BHT, as well as the naturally occurring vitamin E, is described. In high doses, all three compounds induce in animals impairment of blood clotting, which can be explained by antagonism with vitamin K. That's another interesting one because it's something we've been told to kind of remove from our diet, because vitamin K you can only really get from things like butter, usually animal sources, and we've really been discouraged from eating things like that. So
the first thing they do to a newborn baby is give it a
jab,
injection.
Yeah. Why is that? We shouldn't need it. It's because we're all lacking in it, and then along comes these and make it worse. Okay, the tocopherol is a natural one, but in a normal environment, it'd probably be balanced. Specific toxic effects to the lung have been observed with BHT. The other described toxic effects of BHT and BHA are less characteristic and often occur only after high dosage and long-term treatment. However, BHA induces in animals tumours of the forestomach, which are dose dependent. Again, there's your evidence. Higher the dose, the more you get. Whereas BHT induces liver tumours in long-term experiments. So it's double whammy if you've got your stomach, liver. Where was I? Because there is no indication of genotoxicity, BHA and BHT, all published findings agree with the fact that BHA and BHT are tumour promoters, which again seems to contradict what they said, it's cytotoxic. In contrast to these two, vitamin E is not carcinogenic. On the other hand, all three antioxidants have also anti-carcinogenic properties. The intake of the necessary high doses for these effects are, however, contraindicated with BHA and BHT because of their carcinogenic effect. The present overview concludes that concentrations of BHA and BHT nowadays used in foods, drugs and cosmetics are probably harmless, even though they've just said all that. In addition, vitamin E can be used in higher doses without the occurrence of adverse effects. So you've got two possible carcinogens with all the endocrine disrupting effects that come with them. And you can use a natural compound that does exactly the same job and it's perfectly safe. You can have as much as you want. And in fact, it shows it gets rid of cancer to a certain effect, certain amount. Why are they using them? Why not just use vitamin E?
It beggars belief, doesn't it?
We use it, don't we?
Yeah.
In Summit. Vitamin E, a natural compound, you can have as much as you want. Don't do you any harm. Why are we using them to do the same job? We can grow it. It doesn't need this 5-step process that pumps all that stuff out into the atmosphere, takes all that energy. It's there. It's like Mother Nature's going, I'm here, and they're just walking right past. It's unbelievable.
So we'll make
absolutely unbelievable.
We'll make a chemical soup that destroys the planet, might give you cancer because it's cheaper rather than...
Well, that's probably what it boils down to, the cost, yeah. The vitamin E is quite hard to keep it stable.
Justin says probably harmless. How so when other studies say otherwise? Yeah. Why would you use the word probably?
It's covering, isn't it?
It's not a very scientific word, is it? Probably.
Something else to watch for, knowing that these things are used for this, a lot of the time it's not labelled. It's because what they do is they put it in with your parfum and stuff like that, and they'll say, oh, it's to preserve that, it's to preserve the smell. It's an antioxidant for your parfum. You don't have to list the ingredients for the perfumes and parfums because that's seen as proprietary information, a secret formula. So that could be in there and you don't know.
They have stage names as well, don't they?
Yeah. But if it's listed, it'll usually be BHA or BHT or an E number.
That's why it usually goes behind an E number.
Yeah.
Or
I forget that. I think this one's 3203, something like that. I'll post that if people want to see that. Yeah, so another two charming couple that you'd invite to a party. The same familiar story, possibly carcinogenic, endocrine disrupting, i.e. estrogenic effect, and all that comes with that. Persists in the environment, it goes into the water.
Scary.
But this one in particular really annoyed me because there's no need for them. We can use vitamin E, and they're not using it.
They don't need to exist.
Right, so yeah, that's your BHA and your BHT.
Everybody's shell-shocked.
Another couple in the Monsters Ball.
Justin says, how come you have to list every natural ingredient, but they don't have to list the crappy chemicals when natural products aren't even slightly as harmful?
It's probably because you can't patent a natural product, even if it's a formulation that's made from natural things, you can't patent it. Whereas these people make the rules to suit themselves, don't they? So, but for the artificial stuff, you don't have to. It's counted as proprietary information. If there are natural ingredients in your parfum and that, then they don't have to list it then.
Lisa says, us mere mortals aren't supposed to be informed about this madness.
It's crazy. It's a crazy situation.
Sharon says it's unbelievable. I'm sure they're trying to make us ill just to make more money out of us.
No. I'm saying nothing.
Justin says one rule for one rule for another.
Well, yeah, like I said, they make their own rules, don't they, to suit them. Not nice. Yeah. Again, they tell everyone it's safe, and yet you just dig a bit under the surface, and it's all there. Studies have been done, they know.
And you'll never go missing on purpose, babe, will you?
No. I've said this before, yeah. I have no plans to commit suicide. So if anyone says that I have done, no, I've been bumped off. I know we laugh, but I mean, if you ask me, it's happened.
Justin says it's appalling. They need to stop poisoning us.
Yeah. Vote with your pocket, guys. If you can see these things in any of this stuff, do what you can. Minimise it as much as you can.
Educate others around you.
Mm. Once it stops becoming financially attractive, they'll stop using them. But I suppose that's the thing, like you say, education, innit? Read your labels.
We don't buy anything without reading a label now, do we? Nothing.
But it particularly annoyed me, this one. When there's something there that can do the same job and they don't use it. Some do. But, I mean, a lot of them will probably put that in and these. And it defeats the object.
Yeah. Lisa
It's like-
says, thank you, Mark, for more shocking info. Really is all such an eye-opener.
It's like that one that used to make me laugh. The fizzy drinks. You'd have the sugar ones, and then you'd have your aspartame, and then you get some that'd have both. So they cut down on the sugar and then put aspartame in. Like, well, what's the point?
And Justin says they hide them well too, don't they, with parfum being listed.
It's just something to be aware of. It has been, they can hide them in there.
And E-numbers.
Yeah.
Some E-numbers are absolutely fine.
It's just a code, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but some really aren't.
But again, it's a code as camouflage, I suppose, in many cases, because they're allowed to use it on the label. Most people don't know what they are.
Debbie says, I tried to send something to you that was removed within half an hour of sharing it. It has a chap in America doing what Mark is right now. But he named a very large drinks company. We named them last week. Which went after us next. It was regarding where they source cyanocobalamin.
Cyanocobalamin.
Yeah, that's it. And Sharon says, what annoys me is how they claim their product is natural and good for you, and then you read the ingredients.
Yeah. Oh, it's a variation of B12, isn't it? Cyanocobalamin.
No idea.
But the best one's methyl, as far as I know.
I know I've said it time and time again, but the one that really, really, really winds me up is a shop that produces lots of false smelly smells when you're walking down the high street, and then go on their website, pick a product and look at their ingredients, and they're listed as natural ingredients and safe synthetics.
Well, these are classed as safe. They're putting them in food. Oh, sorry. It gives rats stomach cancer and liver cancer, but they're safe. If there's any Americans watching, that's just me being sarcastically British.
Super, super scary. Super scary stuff. You're going to have to write this book, Mark.
I don't have time to write a book. I'm far too busy. Well, if there's any questions then?
Justin says some cleaning products from a supermarket starting with A tell you to go on their website for ingredients on their own brands rather than listing them. That's really bad.
I genuinely can't think who that is.
That's because you never go to a supermarket, darling. Deb says yes, it is B12 sourced from a certain fermentation.
Right.
He says it's shocking what they do. Very much so.
As far as I know, the most bioavailable B12 is the methyl version.
Christine says, I'd buy your bookmark. Bookmark.
Bookmark, huh?
I think lots of people would buy your book, my love.
Just trying to remember the structure of vitamin E now. Shall I have a go? See if I can remember the top of my head.
Gosh, if you want, none of us will know whether you're right or wrong, love.
We can check it. That one.
Justin says we'd be walking around Asda looking things up in Mark's book.
Ah. think it's on that one.
I find it crazy that all this information lives in your head. Does anybody else find it crazy that Mark just has all this information in his head?
I think that's vitamin E. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are the font of all knowledge, love. But this is what Mark does. He blends chemistry with natural ingredients and does natural chemistry. That's how our products are born. You know, it's not just aromatherapy or chocolate things that smell nice. That they are based on science.
Well, our bodies are a giant chemical vat, basically, aren't they? So you take organic molecules in, your body breaks them down, turns them into different organic molecules, and that makes you. So you literally are what you eat.
It freaks me out when I think about that, you know it does. Sharon says, I wish I knew half of what Mark does. Lisa says, I don't think I could cope with Mark's brain, he amazes me. I'm just forever saying wow. Deb says he has natural talent for it, pardon the pun. Christian says, you're a very clever person, Mark.
Well, I think I'm just curious and nosy, I suppose, is the word. If there's something I don't know, I'll go and try and find out. I won't say I was more intelligent than the next person.
Justine says that she has enough problems remembering the chemical symbols for water. Jane says, what would we do without you, Mark? You're so clever.
Well, we try, don't we?
But yeah, I don't know how you remembered that off the top of your head.
My favourite substance in all the universe is water. It's, from a chemistry point of view, it's fascinating. It's an amazing molecule. It's so simple. The way it behaves and everything. But that's the nerd coming out in me there. What the substance freezes at a lower, is denser at a lower temperature and then lighter at its freezing point. At a higher temperature. I can't think of anything else that does that. And it's a bloody good job it is. Otherwise all the fish would die if the water freezes. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff.
Right, shall we go home then? See if we can catch the footy.
Yeah, also has the highest heat capacity, I think, of a natural compound, apart from cooked tomatoes.
Yeah.
I always burn my mouth on cooked tomatoes. Right, on that note then, say good night. And fingers crossed for the footy. If you're an England supporter. Thanks for joining. Take care of yourselves and I say keep your eye out. Stay vigil. Good night, folks.